All right, I believe we are live. Welcome to those of you who are tuning in on YouTube to this Family and Community Engagement Committee meeting of the Hartford Board of Education. We will get started in just a couple of minutes. So sit tight and then we'll get going to the rest of the meeting. All right. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. I see a lot of district staff and a lot of community partners on the call here tonight. I'm looking forward to our discussion. Once again, this is the Family and Community Engagement Committee of the Hartford Board of Education. Today is Thursday, June 4th, 2026, and welcome to today's meeting. My name is Stephen Tatum. I'm a member of the Hartford Board of Education and chair of this committee. If we could do just a quick round of introductions, share your name, your role, and as a little personal check-in, one thing that you are looking forward to doing in the city of Hartford this summer. For me, I am looking forward to attending some of the events that will be in the new spaces in the downtown Hartford Public Library that just reopened this week. And it's actually where I'm joining the call from now because there's an event that I hope to get to later on this evening after this call is over. So like maybe I'll see some of you all there at some event sometime. All right, I will pass it on. And if after you answer, if you could pass it on to the next person so that we can move through, that would be great. I'll pass it to Christina Santiago. We'll make you go first instead of last.
Instead of for once. I'm Christina Santiago. I'm the board liaison. And the Jazz Fest always is such a great event in Hartford that is big and I love it. So I will pass it to my next person on the screen, which is Janelle.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Janelle Hooker. I'm the Executive Director of the Office of Strategic Partnerships and Fund Development. And Ms. Santiago, you took mine because I always look forward to jazz at the park every summer. And I am going to pass it over to Mr. Bumpers. I haven't seen you in a while, so good to see you.
How you doing? Good evening, everybody. I'm Joe Bumpers, the VP of Facilities and Safety at the Boys and Girls Clubs of Hartford. Supporting Magdalene Garcia tonight. Chantel's she's was out half day due to not feeling her best. So I am looking forward to providing our kids with a fun-filled opportunity this summer and making sure that while doing so, they stay safe. And I will pass it off to I would say Flor. Is it Flor de Hoyos? Am I correct?
Yes,
They want to
that's
jack up.
correct. Flor
Okay.
de Ojos. Yep. Thank you. My name is Flor de Ojos. I am the Welcome Center Director, and I am going to enjoy walks at Elizabeth Park And I will pass it on to Mauricia.
Hello, everyone. My name is Maricia. I'm the Partnerships and Community Schools Manager for Hartford Public Schools. I'm most excited to go to the Pratt Street events. I only got to go to one last year. This year, I will be going to more than one. And the Hartford Taste is this weekend, so I'm going to do a double event on Saturday because the summer kickoff is going to be at the downtown library for the Summer Reading Challenge and the Hartford Taste, so I could just pop right over right after I'm done at the library. I will pass it to Aldwin.
Aldwin Allen, Village for Family and Children. I look forward to attending the Formula Drift Challenge. They do the racing time trials down there in the meadows. I missed one last week, or no, 2 weeks ago, but I'm gonna hit it up, make sure me and my sons get out there and enjoy the smoking sound. I pass it on to Francois.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm Francoise Darastel Ledger. I am Vice Chair for the Hartford Board of Education. I would say that I'm looking forward to definitely Hartford Taste. We've known it as Taste of Hartford back in the day. I'm a foodie by nature. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to everything outdoors pretty much. Beautiful weather, seeing the kids outside and just engaging with the community. So I will pass it on to Alejandro Martinez.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Alejandro Martinez. I am the Family Outreach and Engagement Manager for the district. One of the things that I'm going to look forward to are the stars under the night over at the Parkville Market Salsa Nights. They actually just got started last week and they're hosting another one on the 12th. So if anyone's interested, I'll see you all there. And I will pass it over to Magdalena.
Hi, everyone. My name is Magdalene Garcia. I am the Director of Programs and Specialized Initiatives for the Boys and Girls Clubs of Hartford. I am excited because many of you took all of the ones that I was thinking for Hartford. But what I'm excited to do is to take my niece and my nephews to the carousel this summer at Bushnell Park. And I will pass it over to Corinda.
Good evening.
Good evening. I know you joined a little late. If you could just share your name, your role, and then one thing you're looking forward to doing in the city of Hartford this summer.
My name is Corinda Richardson. I'm the Youth Development Manager at Urban League of Greater Hartford. One thing I'm looking forward to doing this summer is going to the Jazz Festival and visiting some food trucks. I'm going to pass it to who didn't go yet.
Yeah, could we do Nick LeBron? I believe you still need to go. If you're able to come off mute, otherwise we can circle back.
We can also do Chief Cologne.
That was my next guess. Yes. Jose Colon, are you able to introduce yourself? Perhaps not. But we've got Nick LeBron from Catholic Charities and Jose Colon from the Chief Operating Officer for Hartford Public Schools. Oh, it looks like maybe Mr. LeBron.
Yes. So my name is Nick LeBron. I apologize. I'm in the car right now. I'm not driving though, just so I am being safe. But Nick LeBron, Director of Community Schools. And the thing that I'm looking forward to the most this summer is our camps that we're running for middle school and elementary school for Early Start. called Summer Survivor and Summer Survivor Junior. We're excited that we've expanded the model to include elementary school youth, and we got a lot of fun things planned for them this summer.
I'll go. Can you all hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I was battling the AI disclaimer screen. I'm not sure what's going on. Jose Colon, I serve as the Chief Operating Officer for the school district. In addition to a lot of things that you all said, I'm also looking forward to literally spending some time at my mom's house, maybe doing some barbecuing. She lives in Hartford.
Lovely. Appreciate everyone shouting out what they're looking forward to getting up to this summer. I think we've heard from everybody. Is that correct? I don't want to leave anybody out. Okay. Yeah, thanks again. Looking forward to, there's nothing like summer in Hartford. It's just great. All right, I'll turn it over now, I believe, to Ms. Hooker for some announcements of upcoming events.
Thank you so much, Board Member Tatum.
And Christina, I believe you're loading the slides.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So welcome everyone to this month's Family and Community Engagement Committee. We always like to start our committee with providing our to-do of activities here at the district. So if we go to the next slide, I'll be able to share what that looks like for us at Hartford Public Schools. So on June 2nd, this past 2nd, we were able to host for the first time an 8th grade Boys Youth Leadership and Safety Conference in collaboration with Collinall Brothers and community partners. This was at Duncan Park, and it was a great opportunity for 8th graders to really have role models to talk to them about safety, decision-making, as well as an opportunity to get more information around our 3 comprehensive schools. On June 2nd, we also did host our final School Governors Council Showcase and Board Workshop for the year, which was at Capital Community College and Connecticut State College at Capital, let me say it right. And that was an opportunity for us to highlight our families that have been with us throughout the year as part of our SGC, as well as make announcement of the families that have already committed to be with us this upcoming school year. June 6th, we are collaborating with the Hartford Public Library. There is the Summer Reading Challenge Kickoff event is happening this Saturday at Hartford Public Library from 12 to 3. If you are in the city, please stop by and be a part of that. June 9th, our office is facilitating a family learning session around the topic that we're doing is dual enrollment, and we want to make sure that our families that have students in Hartford Public Schools get an opportunity to get educated and aware of the dual enrollment opportunities and processes that we have here at the district for all of our students. June 9th is a virtual session of such topic. It starts at 5 p.m. and the link to the Zoom link is available here for you all to have. We will have this session again on June 16th in person for individuals that are interested to attend it in person. June 13th will be our final Breakfast and Learn event for the school year, and we will be attending or taking families with us to Mystic Aquarium. June 15 is our final partners meeting, monthly meeting that we do with organizations that have a partnership in place with Hartford Public Schools. And this will be at Connecticut State College at Capital starting at 11. And as I mentioned on June 16, we're actually having 2 topics being facilitated at Buckley High School. One is the dual enrollment process, an in-person session. And the second one, we're also facilitating a School Governors Council roles and responsibility workshop for family members that are interested in getting a little more information around the School Governors Council process here at the district and how you could be a part of it and what are some of the expectations of those roles. As usual, we also share the events that our schools are having at each one of the zones. You will be able to click where it says Zone 1, Zone 2, and Zone 3, and you will see events that are happening at each one of the schools for the month of June. I would also like to take an opportunity to share a recent event that happened at the end of May, where Electric Boat, which is one of the recent partners that we were able to solidify as a district, did a sign-in day for high school students that are on track to graduate now in June and have accepted employment opportunities with them. I am excited to share that Hartford Public Schools has 3 students that are on track to graduate on June 18th that were a part of such event and are committed to starting trade placements with them and employment opportunities right after high school graduation, making $24 an hour with no experience. They will be providing credentialing and certificate trainings to our students. So I'm excited for that. That concludes our to-do for the month of June.
Awesome. Thanks for lifting up all those great opportunities.
Yes, sir.
Next up, we are going to
Oh.
discuss the community schools contracts, I believe. So
Yeah.
back to you.
And it comes back to me. Thank you. Okay, as I mentioned to you all last month, and if we go to the next slide, I wanted to at least bring to your attention that while I did not have a green light on funding, I wanted to at least share that there were some contracts that we would need to do in order to support services and programs that we do starting in the month of July. So the last time we met, I shared that I was pending North Hartford Ascent Pipeline dollars to be able to facilitate that. Our full service community schools, which was our federal grant that through the feds that we no longer have, but the state of Connecticut was taken on to support us, and I was pending that, as well as a middle school magnet school middle school grant that we had applied for that was also pending. So today, if we go to the next slide, I'm excited to share with you that we have information of those different funding opportunities. I'm only pending at this time the board voting on the potentials of city dollars to support a braided funding approach to the community schools organizations that we have, which support a total of 13 schools. So you can see right now the proposal that I'm offering from a braided perspective on how these organizations will be able to provide services this upcoming school year. Many of them are also providing opportunities for summer enrichment for our students. And then the breakdown that I did in order to really make sure that you could see how the braided approach would work is there is the columns of the CBOs. There's 2 slides. So this is the first slide, columns of CBOs, a column of the school sites that each CBO support. And then I did a column of the magnet, middle school magnet grant that I mentioned last month, and the organizations that were a part of that proposal, the amount that would be allocated for summer support. I did a column for the North Hartford Ascent Pipeline, which I would like to remind and reiterate that that particular federal fund ends in December 2026, which is why we need to do a braided approach. I did a column for the full service community schools funding. And when I did this slide, I did put pending approval from the state because I was still waiting for approval. I'm happy to share that I did receive an email. I think it was 4:10 this afternoon, giving confirmation that we had the green light to access those funding. So on that particular column, the word pending is no longer applicable. This would be the way that I'm proposing to utilize the funding that we're getting from them for this upcoming school year. And then there is the final column of the proposal. Should the board vote on funding from the city, of how that could be allocated to then make whole the contracts that would be facilitated with the organization. So the last column provides you with the total amount. So I would like to then just share that community schools for us is a model that we have been implementing as a district for the past 18 years. The way we have been implementing the model is to have lead organizations facilitating services within our schools, where many of the organizations, while we do a contract for a number of students for them to serve, they do provide services to more than the students that they are contracted to support, as well as provide wraparound services that can assist our families that are in need. At Hartford Public Schools, we do consider all of our schools community schools. However, and we work that on a tier system. So the CBOs that you're going to see in this slide and the next slide are for our tier, our level 3 and level 4 schools, which is our highest need from an economic standpoint schools. And you're able to see what CBO is matched to what school. The challenge that we have for this particular school year is how to really do the allocation of funding to be able to continue to support the model that has been effective for the number of years that I already mentioned. And this is why I bring to you this proposal of how it could be facilitated should the board approve. The model does impact and align with all 4 strategic objectives or strategic priorities that we have as a district: expansive learning and opportunities that are offered to our students, whole and healthy students approach. So the programs make sure that they all are receiving that. And we do work from a district standpoint in doing the oversight and work with the organizations to make sure that there is operational and management excellence within the resources that they receive, as well as to have high level and skilled and diverse members to provide the services to our students. Our data does show that the students that we have participating in these programs do have a higher rate of average daily attendance to school, as well as the behavioral referrals that are submitted are lower for the individuals that participate in programs like this. Some of the programs that our community-based organizations offer our schools or our students are around hands-on learning, social emotional learning, as well as enrichment activities. And then some of them do provide support to our schools during the school day, as well as the after-school program. Our students also have an opportunity to do field trips, to be able to engage in real-world experiences so that they can get some hands-on components from things that they're learning throughout the school day, as we work with our teaching and learning team to ensure that there is alignment from a curriculum standpoint. So what I present to you today is for a total funded amount, if we go to the next slide, to support a total of 13 schools and 6 organizations, if I'm not mistaken. Hold on, let me make sure I get my numbers straight. 6 organizations and a total of 13 schools in the amount of $2,124,542. There is one organization that is highlighted in yellow, and is highlighted in yellow because I'm making a proposal for Center for Latino Progress, which is an organization that has a footprint at Buckley High School to provide the community school services under the full service community schools proposal, which went to the state. And the reason I'm proposing it is because they currently offer services within the building to a smaller number of students. They work with an average of 15 to 20 students every single cycle. So this is a proposal should you approve on what I'm proposing. And at this time, I will open up for any questions that you may have. I do have community-based organizations representative with us on our meeting today to respond any concern or questions that you may have. And I would like to, before you go, Board Member Tatum, to also share that on the packet that I provided to you, you are able to see a historical funding allocation, which does show that we have been going down in the amount of funding that is available or allocated for these organizations to provide services, which then has a trickle or a financial constraints.
Thank you. I think that answered, or that pointed me to where I could get some answers to one of my questions, which was about the how this amount is reflective of previous years.
But I'm ready to respond should you want me to respond. I can use an example and
Sure. Could you give a kind of like a high level of what this how this 2,124,000 relates to prior years funding for these organizations and like those services?
I can. Yes, sir. So if we go to school year, so if we think about school year 23-24, which is when I started on my role, the organizations were being funded. The difference would have been Urban League was not an organization, a part of the MAKE at that time. It was Blue Hills Civic Association was the organization that we had at Weaver. And as I'm proposing tonight, Center for Latino Progress would have not been in the list either. But at that point in time, we were looking at the totality of contracts in the range of 2,837,354, which had a 25% decrease from the previous year, which I was not employed at Hartford Public Schools, but I was told that that was what we needed to work with and doing a decrease of 25%. During school year of 24-25, we started to implement a braided approach to support these contracts, utilizing the North Hartford Ascend dollars. At that point in time, we did get approval from the fiduciary of North Hartford Ascend to be able to do that. And between North Hartford Ascend dollars and the funding that we had as a district, the amount that we were looking at providing to those organizations at that time was more around 2,062,350. So as you can see, it did have a decline. In 2025-2026, which is our current school year, we also had a braided approach on how we funded the organizations, utilizing some city dollars that were approved to the district to access. We had the North Hartford Ascend pipeline dollars, and then we had the federal fund that we had received for 5 years, as well as a grant that was submitted to Nellie Mae to support the shift in organization at Weaver because of what had happened with the previous organization. That was a one-time funding through Nellie Mae. And the contracts at that point in time were around the 2,060,000, which is a little less than what I'm asking you today. And then we go to today, which is 26-27, where we no longer have the totality of the North Hartford Ascend pipeline funding because it ends on December, meaning I only have access to half a school year money out of that funding. We no longer have that Nellie Mae one-time grant to support Weaver High School. And the full service community schools federal grant is not what we're looking at what the state allocated for us in support of what had happened once the feds took that away. Plus, out of the city funding, should the board vote, we're looking at accessing $1 million out of that to do the totality of the 2,124,542 in contracts. In terms of services or students that they serve, one of the things that I would like to highlight is I did do this proposal utilizing the state recommendation in terms of the cost per student allocation that speaks to programs that work or are offer between 30 and 36 weeks have a cap of $2,800 per student for services, right? Which includes all of the wraparound that these organizations provide. These organizations do offer programming at a 30-week scheduling to our students, and we're doing a $2,200 per student dollar amount, which is a cost saving or below that 2,800 cap that the state kind of recommends for us to use. So when we look at the village last year would have served or did serve 528 students on the number of schools that were listed. For this year, we're looking at 423 students. So there is a decrease in the number of students based on the cost per student and the services that they would be able to serve or provide. But one thing that I can share is as I track the data and I do a monthly review on the 2 reports that I looked at, all of the organizations do exceed the number of students that they serve in different capacities around, like if they do events that are open to the entire school, that is not necessarily a part of the cohort of students, particularly around Thanksgiving, there is like a turkey drive event that is done, or during the holiday season, or in the winter season, or any of the career fairs. These are things that are opened up to all of the students. I can also share that if I look at Catholic Charities, last school year, bear with me for a second, at each one of the schools. So for the totality, Catholic Charities would have been on the 286 students from last school year. This coming school year, we would be looking at 232 students. So there would be a decrease as well, based on the proposal that I'm doing here, and so on and so forth. So on the document that I sent through Ms. Santiago for you board members to be able to review and look at, I did provide a cost per student that would allow you to see. I did provide the different type of services that they would offer, and I did provide the number of students that they would be working with based on the proposal that I'm bringing to you today. And I did it by organization so that you are able to see the difference.
Thanks for breaking that down and walking us through it a little bit here. Are there other questions from board members at this time? All right. I know that we're joined by many of these community partner representatives from these partner organizations. I would open the floor for anyone to if you have a brief comment that you'd like to add about these contracts or the proposal, would be glad to hear from you.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Ms. Brody.
Hello, there's a lot of faces that have service, even my children. So hello, everyone. I think my questions is not really for the providers because I know their work is going to be internally. So I could wrap my head around, because I know we're going through some things that with our budget. So it's not really relevant to the providers. It's more some internal stuff. But thank you for the presentation, Ms. Hooker.
And I am available to answer anything. If you email me, if you get, as you guys are doing your discussion, if you need anything else, available to respond.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Mr. LeBron, I see your hand. And I think you're coming off mute right now. Yep.
Yeah, I love it when technology just works how you need it right at the moment. So thank you for this opportunity to speak to this committee, and thank you guys for the time for you guys take for understanding what we do. I think for me, what I would like to do is kind of walk you guys through the process as us community providers have understood it for this entire year regarding funding. I think what I would start with is a conversation that the superintendent had with us at our first community partners meeting in, I want to say it's October, somewhere around there, where we discussed the current circumstances. And there was an overall where we stated that the need for advocacy was going to be there and that we would partner in advocacy. At that moment, the superintendent said he would support us with our advocacy efforts and join with us and ask us to help him. And so moving forward, fast forward, my timeline may be off, but I want to say January, February, we met with the CFO, Richards, who, again, got our input, asked us for advocacy, and we welcomed the challenge with open arms. And so from that point, we engaged in advocacy efforts for months. And those efforts were at the state level, partnering with the card campaign and getting signatures from cards, from families, from staff, from students. We also advocated at the Board of Ed, yourselves, but also coupled with the city, where we brought parents and students and conversations, individual meetings, emails, various sources of lobbying to the city, with the understanding that that would be the place where we would be funded, because similarly, that's where we were funded at last year from the city. And so on May 20th, when the city voted on the budget, all of us stood in victory as we thought it, because $2 million was allocated for community partners from the city. All of our community partners, we put a proposal that the mayor and city council had requested, and subsequently at least we thought, were granted that in the resolution that was passed by the city. And so to see now that that $2 million is reduced to $1 million, it's kind of surprising. And at least in my opinion, not necessarily the direction that we thought or the victory that we thought that we had. And so, I think everyone here knows the amount of things that we do. And, but I also want to just talk about how that leads to retention. As we know, Hartford Public Schools, it's very publicized at losing students. And so by providing clinical supports, by providing our food pantries, case management, behavior, helping reduce behavior, social emotional learning, reducing chronic absenteeism, mentorship, improving grades, like all of those things lead to recruitment retention and keeping students where they are. And so I would urge this committee to reconsider the amount of allocation for community schools, as the cuts we've been continued to be whittled down. And I would strongly encourage for that to be revisited to the $2 million amount that was allocated from city officials. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
And thank you for lifting that up. Certainly grateful for the partnership and the advocacy work that we all engaged in this budget season, and the real wins that we got as a district, both from the city and the state, in terms of increased funding. And I do appreciate you continuing that advocacy here for these contracts. Yes, Mr. Allen, I see you.
Yes, good evening, and thank you all again for again always giving ear and always giving support and always being a partner in this process as we try to figure out how to navigate the safer waters for our children and families in the city. I echo the pieces that Nick has said, and in addition, I'd like to say one of the challenges we have as we continue to do this work is really being able to capture. We use our current database, which is Transact. As we look at our current database, because of the realities around it, it limits our ability to navigate activities and have them keenly and exactingly reported outside of the after school. So whenever we speak to these programs, these community schools initiatives, we wind up having a large conversation around after school, and we're looking at those numbers. And while I am appreciative of it, right, it is limiting because a community school in itself is integrated into school. As Janelle talked about, the tiered approaches, our tier 3 and tier 4 community schools are highly integrated. And as Nick talked about, the types of services we provide, as well as services that we provide directly to teachers and support with principals, these are things that aren't captured here. The push-in activities that we do during the day and these pieces. And also within this construct of the conversation, we ourselves have intentionally, by the design, incorporated a Braden funded model. So we have continually ourselves not looked at this as being the sole funding. And that was never the intent. And I will constantly say it was never the intent to wind up in a Hartford Public Schools budget. Due to realities, we wound up here. Right, but is our intent, and this is something that the board and everyone should discuss, about how do we sort of realign this piece in a way that makes sense. The one not only helps us capture what it is we do, help us get more sort of adequate feedback directly from the principals and the administration itself, because it's a peculiar space to find oneself discussing what it is you do, because it is self-aggrandizement, as it were, or defensive, or this self-clarification, when we can ask the recipients, we can ask our partners, we can ask the people who are sitting, and really be able to get a better level set, an understanding of what a balanced partnership looks like and how it benefits, and in some cases where it detracts, because if it is not effective, we don't want to do it, right? But if that's the case, then we'll have that conversation. So I just wanted to just make sure that I was able to echo that this is in its truest sense a partnership, in that we are doing our best to continue to bring services that are not necessarily captured within our metrics that we have, neither is captured sort of in the numbers, because we service whole schools. We service whole schools all year round and into the summer. And those pieces are sometimes lost in the conversations when they are, somewhat smaller and less comprehensive.
Thank you for lifting up both of those points about the scope of the services not being limited to just like after school programs as the kind of easy way to think about it, and also the funding realities that you pointed to. I appreciate that perspective as well. Anyone else would like to chime in with a question or a comment before we move on?
Sorry, I was late to the meeting, but I was interested to I don't know if I missed it or somebody brought it up, but our partners they lost funding last year, correct? Based on grants that we no longer have?
Correct.
Are we in the position with the additional funding to cover that loss? are we expecting our partners to fill that gap?
So right now, based on the amount that was given to me as allocated to use, there will be an additional cut that we would be doing to them this year again.
But I'll chime in to say we have to fully understand our budget. It is not it's not a secret to anyone that we're told by the city and by the state that we'll kick in extra dollars, but it requires you to be under oversight. So as a board, we're trying to understand what that means. So it's like we're waiting for clarification until we can know what, we're doing. And that, so we're in this awkward space right now. I don't believe it should last beyond this month, but we're trying to understand some things around funding. Hopefully, we land in a favorable spot, that the concerns expressed here won't be like real big concerns. But we are in a very awkward position as a board to understand what exactly we're dealing with, so we can be more clear to families, community partners, staff, everyone. So we are in this very awkward space, that we're hoping this awkwardness ends when this month ends. So that is the hope.
Thank you for offering that, Ms. Brody. Yeah, I know because the board approached the whole budget process somewhat differently this year, our timeline is kind of pushed back. But the advantage of doing that is that we were able to not make any preemptive cuts before we knew what the revenue would be from both the state and the city. So although it feels like there's some unanswered questions still and some clarity that needs to be worked out now, it is nice, I think, that we, instead of talking about all the cuts that we've been making that we would need to make since January, we've received something like $20 to $30 million of additional funding that we didn't know in January we were going to have. So things to celebrate and still details to work out, as Chair Brody said. So stay tuned, I suppose. And I hope I didn't. If anyone wants to check me on that sort of assessment of the situation, feel free. But that's where I feel we're kind of at. All right. And thank you for Board Member Wilson for joining us and for lifting up that question. In the interest of time, I suppose we will move on to the next set of reports. Community partners, you're welcome to stay on the call if you would like the information. Otherwise, feel free to enjoy the rest of your early summer, warm, sunny Hartford evenings. And thank you again for the partnership, and we'll be in touch as more details get ironed out between now and our next board meeting. Okay, over to Mr. Alejandro Martinez for an update on school governance councils and Title I spending.
Good evening, everyone. Next slide, please. So this will be our end of the year recap on where we are with Title I parental engagement funding. As you all know, at the beginning of the school year, we had $130,000, 286.70 available. There were some revisions and an additional revision, which brought the final number to $121,781. As of this particular moment, $9,593.62 are still available. Out of those, $9,607.24.66 are up for an additional review internally here with our finance department. That total, that $6,000 amount were orders that schools place, and that for some way, shape, or form, they were put on hold for additional documentation from the particular schools. So I'm currently working with our finance department and our schools to ensure that they provide the correct documentation to the finance team so that we can get the $6,724.66 approved. The additional $2,000, which is the difference between the $6,000 and the $9,593, are spread out throughout the entire district. So maybe $50, $100 here from each particular schools. Board members, I did send Christina the full in-depth report so that you can all take a look at each individual school when you have a chance, if you have any questions in regards to the additional funding there. In the number of workshops that have been done and FCSSPs have collaborated at the district level have been 227 workshop district-wide. As far as family events with our community partners, we had a total of 938 events where schools across the district collaborated with our community partners to engage our families in different events and learning experiences. Any questions at this moment regarding Title I, parental engagement funding?
I don't see any questions. Thanks for the update.
You're welcome. And we'll go into our SGC report for the year. For those of us that are joining us new to the call today, SGC is composed of 7 parents, 5 teachers, and 2 community leaders at each individual school. At the high school level, 2 students are actually non-voting members, and school governance councils were created by State Statute Reform Law, Public Act 10-111. And you can go to the next slide, Ms. Santiago. And so what you'll be receiving from me today regarding SGC membership, you'll be getting an end of the year report for this year. In addition to that, I'll be providing you all with an update of where we stand with the upcoming school year 2026. In comparison to last month, we did not have any changes the last time we reported, that I reported in May. At that particular time, schools, PTOs, FCSSPs, school administrators were full, in fact, doing nominations and elections for the upcoming school year, as most of you are aware. If not, per SGC policy, school nominations and elections start during the month of May. So by the time July 1st comes, the school administrator has a solid team in place so that we don't have to wait until September, October to start planning. Those individual schools and team can start planning effective July 1st when the school year begins. So as of this school year, we ended the year with 34 out of our 38 schools in full membership. That breakdown is 257 parents, 186 teachers, and 74 community leaders / partners. And just to put the numbers into context, we were just only missing district-wide 9 parents, 4 teachers, and 2 community leaders so that we can have a full SGC for the entire district. Next slide, Ms. Santiago. And now we're moving into the 26-27 school year. As I mentioned earlier, per Hartford Public Schools policy, nominations and elections begin during the month of May. All schools had nominations and elections. As you can see, we do have a small percentage of schools, like 3 schools that are pending election results. So they're not pending election, they're pending election results, which actually close by the end of day tomorrow. Those schools are University High, Montessori at Bad Tedder, and Renzulli. Per the data collected, we have already for the following school year 12 schools that have the full members, the full 14 members. In addition to that, we have 203 parents that were elected already for the following school year, 155 teachers that were also elected, and 60 community leaders that were also elected for the following school year. And when you can see and compare the data from this June 1st of 2026 compared to last year, you can see that we are getting started in much better shape when we did last year at this particular time for the beginning of the 2025 school year. I actually want to take the time to give a little mini shout out, right? So 2 shout outs that I want to give. I want to shout out those 12 schools that are at full membership. So Annie Fisher Montessori, Betances Early Lab, Breakthrough North, Dwight Belizzi, Global, Kennelly, McDonough, MOK, Parker Maria Sanchez, San and Wish. Those 12 schools are in full membership. In addition to that, I want to be able to give a shout out to the SGT team at Burr. They are 1 member away from becoming a full SGC seated. But one thing that team already did was Burr's team actually have their dates and meeting times and location already for the entire school year for the following school year. So I want to give them credit because the ball is moving earlier this year compared to several years ago. Any questions at this moment? I will take them.
For some reason, can't hear you. Oh, trying out the new headphones.
Yeah, I'm not sure about these headphones. Hello. I had to change locations, but I'm in an okay place now. I don't see any questions. So, Mr. Martinez, thank you for all your work. And I would encourage anyone who's interested in SGCs to check out the recording of the SGC showcase from this past Tuesday. I believe it's on Stan McCulley's YouTube channel, and the link to that video is available on Board Docs as the board workshop meeting.
It's
Is
called
that correct?
community now, don't forget. Community.
Yes, sorry. I'm such on autopilot with that. Community through the Hartford Schools website. You can find a link to that. All right. Thank you. And now we'll go over to Mauricia Morris for an update on summer school summer programming.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mauricia, and I will give the summer program update for this upcoming summer. Alrighty, so these are a list of our programs that we have running this summer. So we're touching all levels of education this year, like typical years. So with our first program, we have Early Start, which is for grades K through 3. The weeks that this program will be happening is July 6th all the way to July 31st, Monday through Friday. The times will be 8:15 a.m. to 12:15. That's where the academic component is, where the teachers teach the kids. And then after that, At 12:15 to 3:30, that's the afternoon enrichment component where the fun begins. Parents have the choice to opt in or opt out of afternoon enrichment. So either their child could leave at the 12:15 dismissal, or their child could stay until the afternoon enrichment and leave at 3:30. The academic focus for that specific program will be reading, writing, math, and SEL. The registration deadline is actually tomorrow for all students to be registered to our Early Start program. The next program offered to students and families, select students and families, is the ESY program. It's for pre-K through 12, and it's only if it's written in a student's IEP. So those are the only students that would be invited to that specific program. The dates for that program is the same as Early Starts, July 6th to July 31st. But this program times are a little bit different. It goes from 8:15 a.m. to 12:15 with the strict dismissal at 12:15. The students in this program will focus on pre-academic skills, transitional skills, reading, writing, math, and SEL. Registration for this program also ends tomorrow, June 5th, 2026. For our middle schoolers, 5th through 7th grade, we have our Rising Stars Middle School program. The program dates are the same as the previous ones, July 6th to July 31st. This is actually a full day program. Students will not get the choice to be dismissed at 12:15, so they will get dismissed at 3:30. It runs from 8:15 to 12:15, which is the afternoon academic component, and 12:15 to 3:30 is the afternoon enrichment. So it has a similar schedule to Early Start. It's just the middle schoolers will not get to leave the building at the 12:15 dismissal, just like how Early Starts is. Those middle school students will focus on ELA, math, and SEL. Registration for that program ends on June 12th, 2026. So we have about one more week left for that registration. The last program we offer is to our high schoolers, 9th grade to 12th grade. The dates for that program is July 6th to July 31st, also from June 22nd to June 25th, June 29th to July 2nd, with operation times from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the Student Success Centers. So the high school program is from 7:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. The high schoolers will focus on ELA, math, social studies, science, PE, health, Spanish, and the arts. As you see, it's a compilation of all of the subjects. It really depends on what credits those specific high schoolers were lacking from the school year. So if they needed a makeup in credits, those will be the specific classes that they would have to take to gain those credits back. And the registration deadline depends on the end of the school year just to see what credits they need to make up. And we need the last day of school to see what students need to make up, what classes and what courses. I would like to mention for Early Start, invitations are only based off of the mid-year DIBEL scores. So not everyone can go to Early Start. It's only based off of mid-year DIBEL scores. You can go to the next slide, please. Okay, so these are the buildings that we have open for these specific programs and what schools are going to be placed in the buildings. So for Early Start, for zones 1 and 2 will be placed at Wish for this upcoming summer at Early Start. Those schools will be AF STEM, West Middle, Rawson, Webster, Montessori Magnet, Global, Wish, and SEN. So all of those schools will be placed at Wish for Early Start. There will be approximately 250 students at that building with 14 instructional classes. The CBOs to help up with that afternoon component, with that afternoon enrichment part, will be the Village and our Parks and Recs community centers, Willie Ware, Metzner, and Arroyo. For Zone 3, though you place that environmental sciences at Mary Hooker, the schools in that building will be Sanchez, Parkville, Burns, Elams, Berkdale South, ESM, of course, Kennelly, and Batchelder. That school site will also have 250 students with 14 instructional classes. The community partners to fulfill that afternoon component will be Catholic Charities, Hispanic Health Council, the City of Hartford Parks and Recs, and OpMad. The last building we have open for Early Start will be MD Fox. The schools within that building will be Belize, Naylor, MD Fox, Kinsella, and Betances Early Learning Lab. And that building will have less students with 210 students with 12 classes. The CBO for that enrichment portion would be the Village. Also with Parks and Rec serving our third graders only. I would like to add that the Parks and Recs is only for third graders, whereas the other CBOs will service K through 3 students. For the ESY program for grades 4 through 12, they will be placed at MLK. For the Rising Stars program, that building will be AF STEM. So all of the students that will be in that program will be placed at AF STEM. There are currently 120 students enrolled to that program. Like I said, we have one more week for registration to be fulfilled. So we should see more numbers rise with that soon. For our last program for our high schoolers, zones 1 and 2 students will report to Weaver. These will be students from Weaver, Kinsella, University High, Great Path, and Classical Magnet, sorry. There is afternoon programming, which is optional, offered by Urban League and the Capital Workforce Partners. So through Urban League, the Capital Workforce Partners are able to through Capital Workforce Partners, Urban League is able to provide work sites for the students that will participate in credit recovery. So after that 12-15 dismissal, those high school students will go to their work sites to start earning the money that they were promised. From zone 3 and 4 will be Buckley High School. So those students from Hartford Public High School, SMSA, Buckley, HMTCA, Pathways, and RISE will all go to Buckley. There will be optional afternoon programming as well, offered by the Center for Latino Progress and Capital Workforce Partners. Are there any questions?
Ms. Hooker, would you like to add something?
Yeah, not a question, but I do want to reference two things. We were able to do a partnership with the City of Hartford for Parks and Rec, which they are opening Metzner and Willie Ware only for Hartford Public School students in grade 3 to participate during the summer. Their program is a 6-week program. Our program is a 4-week program where the families that signed up to that program will have an opportunity to, once our summer early start ends, they would have an opportunity to continue for an additional 2 weeks if they choose so, and they share that that is something that they want to do. After our early start program, they will close down those centers and those students will be able to go to either Parker Memorial or Arroyo. So this is open only for Hartford Public School students to be able to participate there. And then the second thing that I would like to also share is the partnership with Capital Workforce Partners. As long as students complete the summer youth employment applications, follow all the steps that they need to do, if they are a credit recovery student, then they will be able to have the dual approach of going to classes and also going to work, where Urban League will be supporting our students with some career readiness and opportunities so that their placement is a little more meaningful and they're a little more prepared. And then Center for Latino Progress is one of the Capital Workforce Partners organizations, which is partnering with us as a district to do placements of students in collaboration with our buildings and grounds.
Thank you for offering that. Mr. Esteledger, I see your hand.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for the presentation. One question I have for clarification purposes, I did see Annie Fisher Montessori, but I didn't see Montessori at Batchelder or maybe I missed it. Oh, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I missed it. So
no, you're fine. It's right there under zone 3. ESM is the last school before the parentheses end.
Okay, zone 3. So Montessori, okay, I'm looking at.
We did an acronym of MM at B.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, we would have wrote them out, but the school titles are sometimes really long.
That's perfectly fine. Thank you so much.
And I would like to add also, that the CBOs providing enrichment, afternoon enrichment to our students are financed throughout from their monies. We are not paying CBOs for early start to provide programming. So it's whatever spots or slots the CBOs were able to give us to support the students that are going into those school buildings for early start. So I just wanted to make that clear.
Thanks very much. All right. And to close us out, I will turn it over to Flor de Hoyos to hear about how April went at the Welcome Center.
Yes, thank you. Flor de Hoyos, I want to remind everyone that the Welcome Center is here to serve everyone. We are at the central point of support for students and families, and we do this by helping families access education opportunities and essential school services. Inside the Welcome Center, we also house the enrollment team. They are there to support with school enrollment, student registration, residency verification, amongst other things. We also assist the families with language and support, guidance for families navigating the school systems. And we also work collaboratively with the schools and community partners to ensure that the students are receiving the resources they need for their academic success and well-being. So please come visit us. And I will be presenting the month of April. For the month of April, we had 338 intakes. In these intakes, if you see the chart to the left, we have the top 10 reasons. Homeless is always the highest, followed by transportation, principal and staff, clothing, safety, transfers, hygiene kits, principal and staff, academic related intakes, choice school enrollment, and school records and safety issues. I'll give an example. For example, the 31% of the homeless. There was 107 intakes for the homeless. 34 of those were for information, just asking about information about how they can get assistance with homeless. 31 of those were well-being checks. 30 were new homeless families. 6 of them were for transportation. 4 were for requests and 2 were for assistance. So when you see that 31%, it's a combination of complaints, concerns, and requests. And this, with the 338, we had 41 complaints, 18 concerns, and 279 requests. You can go to the next page, please. Here we have the we like to compare how we did from year to year. So last year we did have more, 600. And that was because of the activities that we had going on between February, March, and April, that we had more intakes. In terms of the engagement and services that we provided, I did say that there were 107 intakes of displaced families. I gave you a breakdown. In transportation, we had 106 inquiries or intakes. These were composed of 52 transportation information, 49 requests, 4 complaints, and 1 concern. And in terms of the principals and staff, 20 intakes, 14 staff and principal complaints, 5 principal staff concerns, and 1 request. And then we have the type 3 schools. I'll mention the top 5 that came up this in the month of April. MD Fox, Ralston. MD Fox was 24. Ralston had 17. Parkville had 17. Global had 10. And San had 10. Middle school, we had Global with 12 intakes, Mary Hooker with 10 intakes, Burr with 8, HMTCA with 6, and Capital Prep with 5. And for high schools, we had Weaver with 22 intakes, Buckley with 16, Hartford Public High with 14, Great Path with 5, and SMSA with 3. On the all the way to the right-hand side, you see where it says Welcome Center Report, Welcome Center Narrative. While you get those ahead of time, we also place the links here so that you're able to access and see the report. So everything that I'm reading or I'm giving you, it's from here. We did have, like I said, 30 McKinney-Vento new ones identified. We had no donations for this month. And in terms of all the other schools, I didn't give you the breakdown for out of district. We had 32 intakes, 13 new students, and 8 from New Vision. Next page. And these are our FRCs. We had for Burns Latino 1,948 in terms of service. Those included the social support services, before and after care, preschool programs, adult learners, families in training, and so on. Freddie Wish, we had 398. A lot of them fell under the social and support services. Some were before and after care and educational programs. And in Rawson's school, we had 267 services provided under social and support services, preschool education, play groups, before and after care services, and families in training. Sand School had 196 with families in training, social and support services, early childhood, medical and mental health, and housing, food, and clothing. And Maria Sanchez had 415 services, mostly under the aftercare services, families in training, youth development, and school age activities and families activities. And that's all I have. Any questions?
Mr. Estelle-Ledger, you have a question?
Yes, thank you so much again for that presentation. One question I have is, when you have the intakes and there is a need, what do you see is the greatest need with regards to, like, for donation purposes?
So for donation purposes, if a donor is listening, homelessness is our biggest one, right? And so we did have some funding that was given to us to provide hotel stays or motel stays. And that was the biggest one. Usually is where can they stay? Because right now, as of today, all the shelters are packed. So 211, when you call 211, if you wait 2 hours to get a response and then they tell you, sorry, all of them are full, what do you do? So this is where a lot of times families come in, and when we get a donation of rooms, we're able to provide at least 2 rooms until 211 can assist them. We have at times been able to provide up to a week for families. The other thing in terms of donation, food vouchers. The motels that we usually connect with, there's like a Wendy's across the street. So food vouchers would be ideal because they don't have a refrigerator or places to put food. They can't do a grocery. So sometimes those food vouchers are absolutely a lifesaver. And clothing if it's a fire. And those, in terms of clothing, we usually have our schools do a really good job at rolling up their sleeves and donating to the families and accepting donations from people at the Welcome Center. We also put out bins of clothing. And if we know of a family that needs, I connected with other agencies who gave us clothing, who gave us blankets and stuff for them to sleep. And we were able to give them to the families. So housing is the biggest one here in Connecticut.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for lifting up that question, Mr. Estelager. It's a good one. Any other questions before we close? All right, then. Thank you, Flor, and thank you, everyone. Wish you all an end of the school year that's full of growth and learning. I know that's not always easy as the June days go on. And then I look forward to seeing you at various events around the city in the summer. Thanks for
Thank
another
you.
good year of work, and we'll keep it carrying it forward.